All right, I think we live. We're jumping right into it. So look, I was gonna come on here. I was gonna tell y'all about my week, right? I was gonna tell you I went to New Orleans. I saw this crazy cover band. I saw Snoop Dogg. I had so many things going on, right? I was gonna talk to you about everything that was going on in my life. I promise you, that was my plan. And then I went on Instagram. And look, let's just hop into it. Hold on, play the clip.
This is like Yachty rapping.
Oh my gosh. Of course. Drake and Joe Budden get into it. Hold on, let me start it over.
This is like Yachty rapping. This is like he rapping for the children. And that's yo dog, I had to look up how old this was when I finished listening to the album.
All right, so listen, if you're like over 50, over 55, you might not have noticed that Drake just dropped an album for all the dogs? I think it's for all the dogs, right? Dropped an album. We'll come back to the album review and my personal thoughts about the album, but Drake drops an album, right? So Joe Budden, being the media personality that he's now known as, he's got his own podcast and the Joe Budden Network, and he's doing good things in that space, offered up his review, which started with a rather interesting comparison to Lil Yachty. I'm sure Lil Yachty was just sitting home like, why'd you throw me in this? But again, I just opened Instagram. This is what the world's doing, so...
This is like Yachty rapping. This is like he rapping for the children. And that's yo dog, I had to look up how old this was.
How old is he, Joe? How old? Joe gonna tell us how old he is.
When I finished listening to the album. You are 36.
Shout out his man who knows.
Your birthday is in.
Hold on. Shout out his man with the and knows that whatever Joe Budden is about to say is about to get them into some hot water.
You are 36. Your birthday is in 20 days. I Googled that too. You only 37 years old.
Hold on. Wait, I went too far. Let me take it back.
To the album.
Right there. He already knows. He's like, oh no. That was the We about to get into some real trouble.
You are 36. Your birthday is in 20 days. I Googled that too. You only 37 years old. Get the away from some of these younger niggas.
Now I get the gist of what Joe is trying to say. I understand what Joe is trying to say, but obviously the delivery is probably not the best. The tone is not the most what's the best way? The PC way to do it, right? Hold on, let's get.
And stop these 25-year-olds.
See, now you have to come out. Now, why you gotta? Now it's okay to be 30, around 36, and messing with a 20. It's okay. Like you're 35, messing with a 25. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't know about that age discrimination part right there. Hold on, let me get to that.
Hard to grow up, and then the rapping sounded like an adult rapping. I'm want to hear adult Drake rapping for adult people.
Now that was an interesting line. I want to hear adult Drake rapping for adult people. Now I gotta read Drake's response to this. And then I'm going to weigh in on a little bit of the album review, what I think about the album. I gave it a good listen. And then also I want to talk about, I think a deeper issue is the consumer and the consumers of our culture, right? So Drake responds on Instagram, which oh man, y'all should just delete the Instagram. Trust me, I did 120 days no Instagram, no social media, and it changed my life. So I'm just saying, might be time to take a break. But from Champagne Poppy, you have failed at music. That's how he starts. They landed some jabs. They landed jabs right off the bat. Joe Budden hit him with the Lil Yachty reference. Drake, you have failed at music. Should I cue pump it up? That's perfect time to cue pump it up. Excuse me. You left it behind to do what you are doing in this clip because this is what actually pays your bills. Well, I mean, that's true. He's a full-time podcaster. That's a keen observation. Drake. Okay, so for any artist watching this, just remember you are watching a failure give their opinion on his idea of a recipe for success. A quitter give their opinion on how to achieve longevity. You switched careers because the things that pop into your brain had you broke, living check to check, and the raps you write had 450 men showing up to your shows in dusty Aniche jeans to screw up their face to Mood Music 29 to pretend that you are the GOAT. Please, to any artist that's doing what they feel is right, don't let these opinions affect your mindset after the fact. This guy is the poster child of frustration and surrendering. You retired and we never hung up your jersey. We don't even remember your number. We know you for doing this. You withdrew from rap, not because you have accomplished all you need to. It's because it wasn't working for you. I never want anybody in the generations to think that the whole everybody entitled to their opinion is a real thing. This is a man projecting his own self-hate and the fact that I did and continue to do everything he wanted to do for himself. And then here's how, both again had amazing opening lines and amazing closing lines. So Drake ends this soliloquy stating, if you need to put it in simpler terms, I own a 767. He owns a modest house in the 973 and flies first class on special occasions. Now, I was taught growing up that we should never count another man's pockets. And so while I understand an artist wanting to protect their art, their baby, their work, it's a little hard to get behind Drake on the whole 767 thing. I mean, you're an artist with immense success. Drake, I'm a fan. Let me look into the camera and preface this by saying I'm a fan. So I'm not coming at you in any way, shape, or form. But I think that when you look at how you kind of went at Joe, like the 767, you didn't need that at the end. Like, again, you have achieved success that like some of your counterparts on records will never achieve. Like you are in the living legend category of artists. So I don't know about that part. Then the other thing is, now let's get to the album review. See, what I think that this kind of statement or response is an actual example of is the maturity or lack of maturity that we're kind of waiting for you to display. Like, you're not supposed to, like, all right, come on. You're not supposed to respond to Joe Budden. Like, ever. Like, that should not be, it's not like CNN or, I don't know, who's a big media person that we all respect, Elliot Wilson or Sway, came out and just insulted your art. We're talking about Joe Budden. He's in his own words, hold on, let me see if I can find it.
Jersey City, I want to hear how you lost your virginity.
Think of the person that's evaluating your music.
To rap about kid shit, I'm a grown ass, like real Jersey City. I want to hear how you lost.
Now, I don't know if anybody's been to Jersey City. There's some real dudes in Jersey City. And so he may not have a particular taste for what you're doing right now. Now, with that being said, I gave your album, Drake's album, because I'm not speaking directly to Drake. I doubt he'll ever watch this or see this, but if he does, maybe. I like Drake's album. I do agree with a lot of people my age, and I'm gonna be 40 soon, that if we've grown up with you and your music, right? So like I would have started listening to you like my freshman or sophomore year of college, you know, so that was like my formative music years, you know. So if I've grown up with you and your music, I think that it's just, what we're saying is it's just tough for some of us to relate, and we're like the core fan base. You know what I mean? Like, we understand that you have to stay young. And this brings me to the bigger kind of issue that I have with the culture right now, right? So if you think about the culture and what's happening is, especially in hip hop culture, if you look at hip hop right now, we're in a phase where the music that's being sold, the music that's being consumed, the music that's being circulated is of a certain tone and of a certain maybe immaturity level, and that's due to the age of the consumer, right? And so if you're a touring artist like Drake, I totally get it. I think both of these, Drake's right to defend his art and how he continues to connect with younger artists and younger people of younger cultural influences, and kind of staying hip and staying around, what's hip. But at the same time, from a musical perspective, there is, I don't want to say, it just seems like artists in hip hop, there's a stigma with growth. There's a stigma with maturity. There's a stigma with getting it together and changing, whether it's you used to party and now you own some stuff. Like, I think, one of the things that's really appealing about, if you look at the lifespan of, let's take Jay-Z, for example. If you look at the lifespan of his career, his music always played to whatever time he was living in his life. So we were able to look through this looking glass and kind of get a glimpse into what he was doing on this rise to, hip hop and cultural immortality. And at the same time, it feels, now I'm not saying, Drake, you're immature by any sense of the word. I don't want to use that word to describe your music, but what I would think is to say that it feels like some of the growth maybe is a bit stagnant, and like, I think people are looking for a little more on, how you're handling, maybe some of your more personal things, or like the vulnerable person that you were of, in those So Far Gone and Thank Me Later, and, these early Drake records where you touched on a lot of things artistically that we weren't hearing. And, you paved the way for so many artists and so many people to be able to be vulnerable. You look at artists like Juice WRLD or Extentacion, like, they were able to put their heart and soul, or Young Thug, or Travis Scott. You look at a lot of these artists, and you are the pioneer for these artists. And I think it's just interesting because from a subject matter perspective, not a technique. You got the gift. You are the sixth God. Like, I don't think anybody wants to take that from you. At the same time, we just want to see what the evolution is. We want to know. You are arguably like the first young billionaire rapper that's like still moving and shaking. And it's like, we kind of want to hear what that is, what that life is like. And unfortunately, we're hoping that it's not still some of the same chase, if that makes sense. You know, and we want to see where there could be growth and, like, you know, where you can show us things in our life. You know, one of the great things about hip hop is that it's, you know, it's aspirational. And there were certain points during some of the records where I was like, I don't want to say I felt bad for you, but I was like, I really hope that Drake finds this peace that he's looking for, because he has everything in the world. Like, how a person that has everything in the world, but yet at the heart of the music, you can still, I still grab this sense that there's a peace that you're searching for, that there's a, you know, there's a peace that you're longing for, you know, that maybe money can't provide, or resources or fame or notoriety, you know, they can't really provide. And so I hope you find that, if that's what you're looking for, because that's kind of what I got from the music, is that, you know, you are a person that has everything and you can do a lot of things, and you own a 767, as you've reminded the world. But yet it feels like there's something missing, and maybe there's a search for that needs to happen. But yeah, that was my take on it. It was crazy. I opened Instagram. I said, wow. Because I understand what Joe Budden is saying. You know, as fans of one of the greats, you do want to see where your life is headed, and hopefully, you know, again, you're finding what you're looking for, and there's some evolution to it, you know, because that's what life is all about. It's all about not being the person that you were 5 years ago, and then not being the person that you were 10 years ago, and continuing to evolve regardless of how much money you make or don't make, but that you continue to evolve and grow and move and shake, do all those good things. So, all right, anyway, so that was my opening take on, you know, a major happening this weekend. And then what else? So I was down in New Orleans this week. This was my first time in New Orleans, and that was crazy. You know, that was an experience. The city's interesting. I didn't get to tour it as much as I wanted. I didn't get to tour it, but I did get to Bourbon Street. My hotel was on Canal Street, so I stayed right in the thick of it. I was at a video game design conference put on by Unreal, which does a lot in the digital content creation space. They had a fireside chat with Snoop Dogg, which I thought was interesting. He's launched Death Row Games and getting into the space, and he's got some cool, you know, films and interactive kind of things coming out. And, you know, one thing I've realized is that, you know, Snoop is a very intelligent person. Like, he knows exactly what spaces to be in, and I really appreciated that he has a son working with him, and his son was the one that persuaded him to come to this conference, and they're, you know, being open to what the world is evolving into, and being on the cutting edge of things is how smart artists and smart business people kind of stay ahead of the curve, is like being open to innovation. And I really appreciated seeing that Snoop has that part of, you know, the game figured out. I do want to shout out a band that I saw, Retropunkznola. Check them out, Retropunks, Punkz, Retropunkznola on Instagram. Yo, this band was amazing. I'm walking down the street. Now, let me give you a little backstory. My dad is obsessed with American Idol, right? He's obsessed with American Idol. And so, like, you know, I would always, you know, maybe catch 1 or 2 episodes. And these early days, and, you know, people would try to do, like, Alicia Keys. And I heard the Retropunkznola doing a version, or I just call them Retropunks. And I heard Retropunks doing a version while I was walking down Bourbon Street. And I was like, wow, you know, that's actually pretty good. And, you know, you're not supposed to really touch Alicia Keys. Like, you know, Alicia Keys is off limits. Like, don't do Alicia Keys because Alicia Keys does it a certain way. But they was doing Alicia Keys and it was pretty good. So I was like, oh, let me come in. Let me go sit down. You know, I don't drink, but I was grabbing water and was listening to the band. And then they said, all right, now we're gonna open it up, we're taking requests. And you know, that hit me in so many ways because it's like a band that takes requests. What? Like, do you know how hard that is to take a request? Like, this band was taking requests. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. It was one of the coolest things I've ever witnessed, and they were so good. They were on point with everything, all the transitions, the musicians were connected. There was a drummer, a keyboardist, a guitarist who was amazing, a bass player who was singing background vocals, 2 vocalists, and they were just so in tune. And it just showed you, it reminded you that, you know, a lot of music is birthed in Louisiana and New Orleans, especially, you know, one of the founding places of jazz in the United States. And, you know, it made me think about, you know, how fortunate I am that, you know, like my studies, like I'm down here getting my PhD in music. And, you know, it just made me think about how fortunate I am that, you know, like my studies can take me to these places that I can also experience culturally, not only on an academic level. So yeah, that was really cool. That was my trip. I was down there from Monday to Wednesday. I left my dog. I was glued to anybody. Let me know in the comments if you have a dog camera. Okay. Please let me know so I'm not the only one, because I'm obsessed. Like, I was at this conference and every second, there was one point I left the conference to go outside and talk to Mo on the camera. I was like, you know, I just got to talk to Big Pop. I call him Papa Bear. I was like, let me talk to Papa Bear real quick. I went outside to a quiet spot. And I was like, you know, let me just talk to him real quick, make sure he's good, make sure he's got a little tail wag. Man, you know, he was doing all okay. That's hard. It's hard to leave your dog. It is hard. Every time I leave my dog, and I'm not leaving him with, like, you know, my significant other, or, you know, somebody super close to me that I just know that they have a relationship with. It's just tough. It's tough. I get nervous. I don't know what to do. You know, I'm like, ooh, should I take him? Like, I even got a pet-friendly hotel just in case. I was like, you know, maybe I should take him with me, but I decided to let him chill. This is, you know, he's still getting adjusted to his new home in Baton Rouge, and, you know, but I'm glad everything went well. Went down to New Orleans, and yeah, that was pretty good. So, man, I got to tell y'all something, right? You know, it's crazy. I got less than 30 days. I got 29 days left in my 30s, y'all. I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. Like, less than 30 days in my 30s. Anybody, let me know. I got any over 40s? Tell me how it felt. Tell me how it felt as you were leaving your 30s, because things will start to feel different. You know? I don't know. Is that like the equivalent of menopause for man's menopause? Am I going through menopause? Maybe I'm going through menopause. Things are changing. I'm tired now. You know, when I come home, I need a nap. That's what you realize. Like, you get old. I played basketball for the first time not too long ago, and my body hurt. My body ached. I say hurt. I don't want to say hurt, because I wasn't hurt. I'm in great shape. I haven't missed a day in the gym in it's almost 650 days consecutively. But the other day, I decided to play just a little 3-on-3. And the next morning, like my joints hurt, though. Like, wait, what? Why? Why did the joints? The things were throbbing. You know, that's how hurt I was. Like, things did not feel. They did not feel like I had been taking care of my body as extensive as I thought I was. And I still look young. Like, my students think that I'm 25. I told them, I said, no, I'm about to be 40. Because, you know, I needed them to respect me. They don't respect a 25-year-old, but they respect a 40-year-old. I've lived life. You know, I start giving them advice. You know, sit here when I'm back. I start saying things. And then also, you know what you notice when you start to turn 40, right? You start to say things like, oh, look at the kids. Like, I never did that. I never did that until this year. And now I'll see a bunch of college kids. It'll be all up. You'll see the kids on campus. They want to live near the kids. Like, I'm down here at LSU getting my PhD. And I found a house that's, you know, I'm 15 minutes from the campus. I'm in a whole different town because I don't want to live near the kids. Like, that's only something that happens after like 38, right? You start noticing kids. And then, you know, the other thing is you start saying back when. Like, I caught myself the other day in class. I'm like, oh, back when I had to take physics. These kids are like, what's that? I'm like, back when I had to take physics, they didn't let us use calculators. Like, I'm totally lying to them too. But still, I'm just like, man, I am becoming my dad. What was that commercial? Leave a comment if you remember what that commercial. What was the commercial where it's like you're becoming your parents? That was me. Like, I was totally becoming my dad in that moment. And I'm like, man, I'm starting to get old. And then they started to make me feel, they're like, oh, no, you're not old. You know, you're still like 40s, like mid, like that's middle. I'm like, what is middle? Middle. You know what comes after middle? Aged. What do you mean middle? That's middle. Middle, that's halfway to death. Oh my God, we're going through a crisis. Having a whole crisis right now. All right, let's brighten up the mood since I'm going through a crisis. Shout out all my Philly sports teams, except the Sixers. I need the Sixers to fix this James Harden situation before the season starts. This is ridiculous. James, if you're listening, okay? Come on, man. Stop hanging out with little baby and get to come to training camp. All right, what is going on, man? It's making me upset. But shout out the Eagles. Shout out my Eagles. 5-0. 5-0. Hard fought. Everybody's playing well. Phillies in the playoffs also. Got a great win against the Braves yesterday. I'm locked in on these Philly sports. I'm locked in. But James, if you're listening, like, come on, James. Like, what's up? What could I need you to get on. If you want to come talk to me, okay, I'm gonna find a way. I'm gonna DM you and ask you to come on my podcast, and you tell me what happened, if you don't mind. Like, listen. We can have a heart to heart, a real, honest conversation. James, we can have a real, honest conversation about what's going on. We could work it out. Trust me. I'm telling you, we can get a solution. We could come up with a way to figure this thing out. Please. We got a shot. Joel's playing good. He's going to play for the Olympic team. You know, we got a shot. Tyrese Maxey's ready to go. But we need you, James. Come on, James. Oh, man. So listen, back to my body aching, right? Let me go back. Let me double back. Because I wanted to also say that I'm starting a new gym routine, right? So I've been lifting hard, getting strong. Been lifting really hard, doing my power lifting for the past almost 2 years. Put on about 30 pounds. But now I'm not feeling as athletic. Like I feel like I lost some mobility. I've been having a hamstring issue. So I want to switch my workouts a little bit. I want to switch things up. I want to change it up a little bit. I think I'm going to try to start doing a little more active exercising in terms of trying to play some more hoops, do some plyometrics, run. You know, the simple things. Running. I'm going to run a little bit, you know, more technique stuff, but running. You know, they say as you get older, you should sprint, you know, because you're just not used to torquing your body like that. So I want to try to just slowly. Let me tell everyone this slowly. Okay. When you're over 40, you don't do anything. Everything I do physically takes a month to implement. Like we will implement. We're gonna start walking next week, and then we're gonna power walk like the funny people. You know, we'll do some power walking. And then we will gradually progress. I love when the doctor says that, right? When you get hurt, you break something. Now gradually progress back to not being an idiot, right? Is really what they're telling you. Like, don't go too fast. So I'm going to go slowly. But I want to get back. I want to do some running, some sprints, you know. Just get athletic. I want to get really athletic. I was dunking the other day, so I still got that. I got a little bounce, but I've been having some foot issues. My hamstrings tight, my glutes messed up, hips hurt. So I got to get all that worked out. We got to get all those kinks worked out. All right, so usually every week I watch something. So either a movie or a documentary or a series, you know, something that I can just have a good takeaway from. And this week, I watched the David Beckham doc. I think it's called Beckham. I hope it's called Beckham. But the David Beckham documentary on Netflix, and it was really good. It was really. I didn't know anything about David Beckham other than he was married to the Spice Girls. He played soccer, football. He owns Inter Milan. I know those things. Those are the only things I know about David Beckham. But the documentary on Netflix was actually really good. It gave me a lot of insight into European soccer, football, and how it works, and the ties of different people and coaches and players and the national team, and some of David Beckham's history, and him and Victoria Beckham, aka Posh Spice from the Spice Girls, their history. Probably got to cue some Spice Girls music. But it was a great documentary. So it's a docu-series, 4 episodes on Netflix. If you get a chance, check it out. That's my recommend. I recommend that. So I'm gonna watch it so you don't have to waste your time. If I recommend, watch it. I won't let you down. I promise. Recommend. All right, what else is happening? So, man, what is going on in Israel? What is going on in Israel? You know, there's a lot. The Hamas, Palestine, Israel. Listen, I'm just going to pray for all of y'all, right? We're just going to say a blanket prayer. Y'all peacefully get this sorted out. We don't need any civilian. We don't want anybody dying, but especially the civilians. You know, I'm seeing a lot of disturbing images and graphics of women being captured and kids being killed, and men and women and kids being, you know, treated horribly. And, I just pray. I'm just, sending a prayer out to everyone in that region that, we try to sort it out, try to fix it. Cause man, we just live in this, it feel like, doesn't it, is it me, or does it feel like, we're just not really taking like life, we're not valuing life, human life, and the breath that we're all given, and like we should all have this equal right to live, and we should all have this equal like destiny that we're just gonna hopefully get hit by a bus or something catastrophic that we have no control over will take us out, and it's painless, but like, because we're all gonna die, right? We're all gonna die sometime, but I just hope, or it's old age, right? We hope everybody just goes peacefully in old age. But the wars and the violence, or like what I'm seeing, what I saw at Morgan State this past week with the active shooter at the school campus, it's just, there's a lot going on in the world, and I just hope that we start to value, human life a little more, because it's a beautiful thing. And again, we should all have our right to live and our right to die by whatever God's chosen for us. All right, well, my last topic, basketball's back. Woo, I'm excited. Now, you heard me mention James Harden, the saga. That's my Philly sports update. That's a whole different segment of the show. But right now, we're talking about basketball. Hoops is back. NBA, Abu Dhabi. I watch everything. I'm trying to see what my picks are next week. Let's see. Should we make predictions yet? I'm going to hold off on predictions. Let me get through the preseason, but I'm going to start giving you favorites. I like what the Lakers did this offseason. Obviously, I like what the Bucks and the Suns did. Contenders, the Celtics. I'm still mad at the Sixers. But it's looking like it's going to be a pretty good season. A lot of teams are going for this kind of big three. Big three seems to be the way to go. So, maybe the Pelicans might make some noise. I want to actually go to a couple games if I can, but maybe the Pelicans will make some noise this year with Zion returning, and hopefully he can stay returning, and hopefully he can stay healthy. But yeah, I'm excited. I love when basketball season's on. I pretty much watch. I would say I probably watch over 200 to 300 basketball games during the season. Probably more. But I have League Pass. I watch a lot of games. Not all of them start to finish, but I will watch about 200 basketball games. Because you figure if there's 2 games a night, and there's like 5 games a week, yeah. At least, 5 nights a week, excuse me. So, yeah. You figure 2 games a night, 5 nights a week. I'm watching a lot of basketball. So I'm really excited about the NBA season. WNBA season's coming to an end, but the finals are on. So if you want to check the ladies, the Liberty and the Aces played tonight. I think the Liberty snatched game 1. But this is, best two teams all year. So this should be a good hard-fought series. Excited to see what happens with that. All right, that's my time. Shout-outs. Always shout out to Mom and Dad, Mama Mac, Papa Mac. They just went to Europe to the little trip. Glad that everything is good and went safely. Shout out to Mo. That's my dog. For real. That's my real dog. Shout out to all the homies. Shout out to everybody. And finally, follow me on all socials at IamTKMac. Leave a comment if you want, if you choose. Send me a message with any topics you want me to cover, any questions, suggestions, or criticisms. And I'll see you next Sunday.